Alrighty, fans, welcome to this week's Sports Check. Got a lot to talk about on both national and local level. In our second segment, we'll have Campbell County High School Student Council President Brandon Johnson talking about some big changes coming up for homecoming this year, some exciting changes. But we're going to start out with stuff on the national level with the NBA and NFL lockouts.
Well, the NBA lockout, that one's probably going to go for a while. It's to the point, owners say they're losing money. You know, the NFL, nobody's losing money in the NFL, you're making money. NBA, they say they're losing money and they're willing to actually sacrifice the season next year.
You know, the best part of about that is, to me, I don't have to hear about LeBron James.
That's true. That's kind of fun.
The so-called chosen one.
But, you know, the owners say they lose millions of dollars a year. And player salaries are ridiculous and just outrageous. You know, you have players, it's just the highest paid sport. You know,
which is crazy.
Basis. They make $25 and $30 million a year, some of them do. And every team has a guy making $20+ million a year. You know, baseball is you have similar salaries on some teams, but every team in the NBA has everything, so they lose money. Baseball plays
180 games.
That's 81 home games
a
year, and they have 40 and 50,000 seat stadiums. NBA plays 40 home games a year with 18,000 seat stadiums. It just doesn't translate money-wise, you know.
And I imagine baseball probably has a little bit better TV ratings. There's a lot more games televised.
Well, baseball has a lot of big-time fans. The NBA has good TV ratings nationally, but baseball, it controls New York and Boston. And that's where your money comes from.
Exactly.
And they have revenue sharing, so everybody makes lots of money.
Also, you got the NFL being locked out, which the NFL lockout will probably, hopefully, end before season.
Most people are saying that's going to end in July.
Well, you know, it's time. You know, you would start having your training camps.
Right, they would be starting actually next week, wouldn't it? Normally, a lot of the camps starting after the 4th.
After the 4th.
Yeah, the training camp started in July. There were actually probably some mini camps that have been going in June, but you know, NFL, they're just trying to decide who gets a split of what of their $9 billion in revenue.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how
they're not losing money.
It's not a matter of owners are losing money. It's not a matter of teams losing money or anything. And the NBA players are going to have to take a salary cut.
Yeah, I think they should.
That breaks my heart.
I think they should.
In the NFL, it's just how much more are the players going to make. It's the difference in the two lockouts.
But the one thing the NFL lockout did give us is football cops.
Yeah, football cops, it looks like it may be a quality show if the lockout continues.
You know,
yeah.
I can't argue with that. Football cops looks pretty amazing. If you've not seen that yet, I highly suggest you YouTube it.
Unless you're Grot, then we're not talking about football cops.
At all. Don't rip our arms off. Then, you know, stepping away to the more college level, UT's got some stuff going on. There's some track turmoil.
2 of the track coaches were fired, and apparently the best sprinter on the team is going to quit the team and transfer. He said the coaches fight with each other all the time. And apparently the 2 coaches that fight with each other are the 2 that got fired, so maybe that'll help him stay, I don't know. And it's odd, UT is really one of the most successful track teams out there. We won some national championships recently. And
indoor and outdoor.
It's just falling completely apart. I don't understand what happened exactly, but I guess things like that happen.
Of course, on the football front, we're getting closer and closer. Prentice Wagner, I believe, the cornerback that's out of the cast.
Yeah.
So that's good.
It's less than 9 weeks till football season starts.
65 days,
so
I believe it is.
I think it's less than 65. But anyway, we got, you know, to hope that some of our players that didn't get to come in early can come in and make an impact. Like Cal, the defensive tackle.
Right.
He didn't get enrolled in school early, so you don't know how he's going to be. But we're really counting on him to be, you know, step up this year because, what's his name? That got dismissed from the team. The defensive tackle that's constantly in trouble anyway.
Monterey.
Yeah,
Monterey Hughes.
Yeah,
yes.
He got, you know, we lost him. And, you know,
we're so thin there anyway.
He never did anything great, but he was 6'5" and 320 pounds. So you know,
that's a heck of a road block.
I mean, we got to count even more on the junior college players coming in and playing. Jackson is a good defensive tackle. Fell into our laps out of Southern California, but you know, when you're by yourself on the defensive tackle spot, it's going to be
It's
tough.
asking to be double teamed. I mean,
Few preseason rankings have come out. What I saw, we're between 35 and 50th in the country in most of them. Most of them predict we're going to make a bowl game. We're going to win about 7 or 8 games, 9 on the upside, you know, maybe 5 or 6 on the downside. But you know, we should win at least 4 games just because of the bad teams we play.
still don't have an athletic director in place.
No, Heath Schuler has conflicting reports about whether he's going to give up Congress and be the athletic director. Some say he's going to apply for it. Some say he's not.
Now, a News Sentinel story said that he is going to stay in Congress. He's focused on that, but a lot of other reports have him leaning towards that athletic director's position. And God, I hope he stays in Congress.
Well, the thing about that, apparently his district has been redistricted, and it's, you know, he's a Democrat, and it's been redistricted in favor of Republicans because Republicans control the House in North Carolina, and they said that he probably was going to lose because of that. They took away a good portion of his Democratic base, and they said that he's looking pretty likely to lose his election.
So we could see Heath Schuler, probably the 8th or 9th smartest quarterback of all time to play at UT.
I won't say of all time. He's not smartest since the early 90s.
You're right. Look, I've got some friends that were at UT with Heath, and my smartphone may be smarter than Heath Schuler.
You know, we'll just have to see what happens. He wasn't surprised. That's the kind of person that they would hire. I mean, he ran his own business. He's been in Congress. You know, I'm sure they'll figure he could probably bring in some big time money, and he was really popular as a player.
And yeah, I will give Heath credit. The few times I've met him, he is a supremely nice guy.
Oh yeah, I'm sure he's a great guy.
And he was beloved by the fan base for a while.
Honestly, like I said before on here, the athletic director over there needs to raise money.
Yeah, because he has no teeth.
Yeah, you need to raise money and fight for your bowl position.
Jimmy Cheek apparently is the one with the teeth. And of course, like you said, Big Jim.
It's Jim Haslam and the board of trustees. Nothing happens personnel-wise with coaching staffs or anything without it going through them and having their approval. So it doesn't matter who did it. You know, you could put a monkey in there as the athletic director. It's not going to matter.
I still want to say I'm willing to do this job.
We'll do it.
If he can call me, I'll be there.
2/3 the salary that they were paying Hamilton. So Luke would probably do it for $120,000.
Yeah.
Is that okay with you?
That would be okay. That would be okay.
He will call people all day long and ask for money.
That's right.
Another quick brief on the NBA front. And we talked about, Tobias Harris got drafted. Looks like he's going to be playing in the D League this year, is one of the reports I'm getting.
The way the NBA lockout's going, he's not going to be playing anywhere.
That's true. So I'm curious. Can NBA players go overseas and play?
No,
I wouldn't think so.
If you're drafted under contract, you won't be able to go overseas.
Well, let's.
Now, if it's the lockout's going on, yes, they can.
That's what I'm saying.
You know, you're locked out. You don't have a contract anymore.
That's what I'm saying. Could Tobias Harris say, yeah, you know what, I'm going to go play some ball in Istanbul?
But the problem with that being, he would have to sign a contract for his European League team and may not be able to come back to the NBA when
True.
I say what I've read about it, the owners are perfectly willing to not lose any more money and not have an NBA season next year at all.
Maybe he should go to Japan. He'd be huge there.
It's crazy, like I'm saying, how much the salaries escalated so quickly in the NBA. I've been reading Michael Jordan's biography lately, and when he retired the first time, he was only making $3 million a year.
The best player in definitely in the 90s, in theory, the history of the league.
He's easily the best player in the history of basketball. You know, people try to compare LeBron James. There's no comparison.
Oh, I was going to compare Magic Johnson, Wilt Chamberlain, and Dr. J. Not LeBron James.
Even Magic Johnson. He said in his biography, this is before he came back and won his next 3 titles. Even in that biography, Magic Johnson says, you know, I competed with Larry Bird to be a great player, but we're not Michael Jordan. You know, he said we can't compete with Michael. We couldn't do the things that Michael Jordan could do. Nobody could. He said nobody's ever been able to do the things that Michael Jordan can.
Right.
Doug Collins was Michael Jordan's coach for a long time. He said Michael Jordan wasn't just the best shooting guard in the league and the best small forward in the league. He was the best point guard in the league when he played for him. And he said he was one of the top 5 centers in the league, if you wanted to put him at center. I mean, really, he said he could do that. That's how his post offense was. I mean, it's an interesting biography, and, you know, talks about Michael Jordan's drive and will to win. That's where he separates himself from LeBron James. And people like Kobe Bryant. You know, Kobe Bryant's a good player, but, you know, Kobe Bryant had all those titles. He had Shaquille O'Neal on his team. And when Shaquille O'Neal left, his team fell apart. He had to get Paul Gasol and some other, you know, people in historically in the NBA. You never won without a dominating big man. And he had Paul Gasol averaging 22 points and 11 rebounds a night. And Michael Jordan never had that. His big men were terrible.
His best big man was Dennis Rodman.
Oh, yeah, Rodman was 6'7". I mean,
But he wasn't a monster.
Rodman didn't score either.
By golly, he could rebound.
That's all he did. But, you know,
He filled out a wedding dress nicely
he
too.
was a fine looking man. But, you know, it's an interesting biography, and, you know, today's NBA is so much different. Now people make $25 and $30 million a year. You know, LeBron James took a pay cut to go to Miami. I think he's paying $19 million a year. But,
I don't know how he makes it.
the NBA sort of, as they said, it came back in popularity a lot this year. To me, it's probably never going to be the same as it used to be.
It's not been the same to me since the Jordan era.
The other interesting things that come out in sports this week were both involving college football. You know, we got raked over the coals under Kiffin for having 6 secondary violations. You know, people were raked Kiffin. It was reported this week Alabama had 16 over the last 2 years.
Wow.
Of those same type of violations. One was like the bump violation that Bruce Pearl got so
Right.
much trouble for. Nick was with Barry Sanders Jr. somewhere, and he claimed he was talking to Barry Sanders Jr.'s coach about their offensive system while Barry just happened to be there. And then they had the videotape of him at the Alabama basketball game with Nick Saban sitting with Barry Sanders and Barry Sanders Jr. There's a lot of stuff that came out. I mean, nobody's saying anything about it. You know, Alabama's back to being Golden Boys again right now. The other big story is Oregon.
Oh yeah.
Oregon's probably going to get deep sick because they started signing really top-ranked recruiting classes, and they had this guy from Texas who was supposed to be their advisor. And he was, you know, I think Michael James, a really top running back from Texas, they got to sign. Well, this advisor to Michael James, Oregon supposedly hired him and paid him $25,000 to be their consultant. Well, it turned out that, you know, they essentially gave the guy $25,000 to steer the kids to Oregon. And when the NCAA contacted Oregon about this, and this guy admitted this, he said he got a call from Oregon's head coach and said, just make some stuff up, whatever you've got to do, just send it to us right now, act like you've been doing this job for us.
Wow.
Which he did, and he said, I just sent him some old stuff I'd had on my computer.
That sounds like something Jim Tressel would do.
Well, yeah, and it's Dressel, it's Alabama, whatever. You know, the guy told Yahoo Sports, and he told the NCAA that. He said, you know, he said, I realize now I made a mistake, and they just gave me $25,000 to steer kids to them. So, you know, expect Oregon probably to get...
There may be a death penalty there.
That's what they get for wearing those awful school colors.
I wouldn't think it would be the death penalty, but it won't be pleasant unless Nike's money can buy them some...
Right.
New colors?
Well, buy them some NCAA law, I don't know. But yeah, that was a pretty egregious violation of NCAA rules, and they're probably not going to be in great shape over that, I wouldn't think.
Well, you know, that's the game you play.
Which I enjoy it because Pac-10 fans love to accuse the SEC of cheating constantly. Not that the SEC doesn't cheat constantly.
Fans, we're about out of time for this segment of Sports Chat. We'll be right back with Student Council President Brandon Johnson.